Hey, this is Paul Gough. Welcome to another episode of the Paul Gough podcast and audio experience, where we interview business owners trying to escape the 9 to 5 of being stuck in the treatment room all day, every day. I've got a very special guest with me today. All the way from California is Shiraj Chakraborty, who we have just spent the day together analysing his business, talking about the future and how he can get out of that treatment room and still remain profitable. Shiraj, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your business, where you're from, and just your background, how you got started.
Yeah, so my business is focused mainly on active adults and athletes. Originally, I'm from the East Coast. Decided to head out to California for school to escape the winter and enjoy that sunny weather. Thought I'd move back. Met my wife and never did. I was in and out of different practices. I've worked in almost every sports and orthopedic setting, from professional sports to the busy, private practice clinic, private practice, you name it. You name it, I've done it. And I think around year 6, year 7, I just realized I'm kind of the misfit and I need to make my own fit and started my own practice. Kind of dabbled in it in 2020. Kind of just started to see a little bit of clients on the side, discovered more about Paul and your world around like late 20, early 2021. And then really took the dive about a year and a half ago. Kind of went all in, saying, all right, I got to grow this business.
Nice. We've done a VIP day today, so we've essentially done a full consulting day on your business. I always ask, what made you want to do that in the first place? So you've traveled 3,000 miles to Orlando to work with me. What was the frustrations?
I think this past year and a half, 2 years has been actually just in general a year of just good overall growth.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was just trying to understand, like, okay, what are the basics of running a business, right? Just, I'm seeing new clients. How do I talk to patients? Things like that. We've hit a great stride this year, but I realized that there was just a lot of things I realized I needed to work on, but I wasn't sure what to focus on, how much time to focus, when I should get it done. There's a lot of strings that felt like they needed to get pulled, and I just didn't know. There was just a lot of decisions to make, and I didn't know which way to go. So my thought was like, I just need a little bit of clarity and direction to kind of help me fast track this process over next year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people think that it's about doing more and more. And often when you get to a certain point, particularly when you're stuck, and I think that's a skill that business owners have to recognize when they get stuck or a little lost, life gets a bit foggy, is to ask your way out of it. And it's often not to do more things, it's just to try and focus on the 1 or 2 big things that are gonna really knock the business domino forward, if you like. What were the biggest challenges that you had a hunch that you had that you probably couldn't solve on your own?
My biggest issues I was having was that I was seeing more patients, my schedule was getting busier, which was great. But when I had some of that free time and I had these like 10, 15 different things to look at, I got to a point, it was just analysis paralysis for me. It was the point where, man, what do I focus on? All right, I put my focus into it for a little bit, but I didn't know, like, okay, what's my finish line? Like, when am I done this, and when do I move on to the next piece? And so it just got to a point, I'm like, I'm just kind of doing things. I don't know if it's helping or not. It may or may not be. And then there was just kind of a moment as I was going through it, I was like, I just need a little kick in the pants, like a sit down and be like, Shiraj, this is what you're doing right. This is what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
This is what you need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, is this one of those moments, like sometimes the one-on-one with the expert is going to help me get that direction I need.
I think what's interesting is you've done incredibly well. You've gone from naught to nearly now a $250,000 business. And you're at that next point where what we did to get to 250 is not going to get you to $500,000 and beyond. And that's the challenge for most business owners. They try to do more of the same, but you've done incredibly well to get to now 23, 25 visits every single week, good margins, good price points, good PVA. But it's now starting to think a little bit differently about your business. What's the next steps then for you? What are the things that we've discussed today that you think, wow, that's what I needed to hear?
Yeah. So one is the confidence and just saying you're worth more, so charge more.
Yeah.
That was one. The other one that I really liked, that I thought was just the aha moment, was it was basically taking something that I'm doing with all my clients, providing them like quality feedback, advice, training plans, analyzing their running analysis, whatever it is, and turning it into a clean, clear package that can actually be pushed forward and say, this is your method, this is your process.
Yeah.
That was the big aha moment for this one.
What about this morning when we first spoke about your travels and you talked to me about how you were a little bit conscious of how much traveling you were doing? Tell me about that.
So my wife and I have always been travelers, and I didn't want that to change. The first thing I said during our meeting was, like, since I started the business, we put in a lot of funds to do our build out of our new facility. And the first thing I told my wife was like, I think we need to like maybe cut back on travel a little bit just to make sure we get the funds built up to pay off what we did and make sure we're really successful for the year out. I then responded with saying, I think we traveled more in this last 6 months than we had in the last 3 years combined. And there were great travels, but my first thought was, okay, I need to chill out to really make some money. And then you just get great advice. And it was a little freeing to hear it, which was like, we never build the business around everything else. The travel is the key thing you want to do. Everything else works around it. So do not change that. Just make more money so you can do it.
I think it's, it's back to what I was saying on a call this week. People keep talking about how expensive things are. And my response isn't to sort of cut back and modify your life. It's to figure out how you're going to make more money. And it's the same with travel. My advice very early, or to myself, if you like, the reason I got into business was to travel. I worked in a job 9 to 5, and I worked in soccer, football clubs and teams in England. I didn't want to be trapped in a job 11 months of the year, 7 days a week, because that's what it was. So I left to be able to travel. And what a lot of people do is they'll turn around and say, I'm going to travel when I've got the business sorted, but they never do. They build their business and their liabilities and their commitments and their habits around the business, and there's never actually any room for travel. I think the best thing that you can do very early is to go, this is what I'm setting my stall out early to travel 4 or 5 times a year, to be off on a Friday, or to go home at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, whatever it is. That's the life I want. Now I'm going to shoehorn the business around that, and that, for me, forced me to raise prices. It forced me to sell appropriately. It forced me to hire at the right times, rather than I'll delay hiring and I'll delay price rises and I'll delay the travel. I was like, no, the most important thing for me is the flexibility and the freedom of being a business owner, and therefore I had to make the decisions about the business and the needs of the business to allow me to do that.
Yeah.
And I think, as we were saying, you've got this fallacy in the world, which there is in most things, and sort of just BS in most things, where people tell you that they're going to travel the world when they get to 65 and they retire. Well, the reality is they're too tired to do that. They've got no habits, they've got no energy, they've got no zest for life at that point. All they've done is focused on getting to 65, so they never travel. But the guy who starts to travel now, he doesn't want to retire.
Yeah.
There's something in that, and the conventional wisdom that we've been taught about life is that we follow this path and these rules, and like we do this stuff later on, and it's not really about that. It's about living your life today and keeping your energy and your zest and your enthusiasm and your drive for as long as you can. And I think travel plays into all of that.
So it was about transferring to the business too. People will see that.
Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge right now for you? We're talking about trying to get out of the treatment room 9 to 5. What's the biggest challenge as you see it?
The biggest thing I was having trouble with in the beginning was simply lead generation.
Yeah.
I think our clients like us, they stay with us for the whole plan of care and then some. But the problem was we just weren't getting enough leads.
Yeah.
And so we came up with a good plan to really address that and focus on that. So yeah, it was just biggest issue was lead generation.
I think as well, it's so difficult to just lead generate. If all you do is lead generate, you're going to do well. But the biggest shift is when you become the guy or the gal, the authority. And I think that's the piece that is the next step for you. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. We had
and getting you comfortable on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, the other part is it's like
you're doing a good job right now.
It's like therapy sessions, right? We were talking about how it's just part of the idea is we call it perfection, but the reality it's probably not perfection. It's actually just insecurity of being judged by people, what people think. And I think part of this process is, if I'm going to grow this business and grow this brand, then I need to be the face of it. And if I'm going to be the face of it, I got to get my face into cameras and get comfortable and used to it. And the beauty of all that is I may suck today. Tomorrow I'm going to suck a little less. And then 10 years, I'm going to be really not as sucky.
I think if you don't look back on old videos or old marketing messages or old websites, and you don't think, wow, that was bad, you haven't really made any progress.
Yeah, totally.
As a business owner, I always think if today's problems or last year's problems don't appear to be smaller, then I haven't grown as a business owner. So today's problems need to be a lot bigger than last year's. And if I'm still worried about hiring or firing or awkward conversations that I was last year, then I'm not growing as a business owner. What do you think you were overcomplicating? What do you think you were overthinking? You mentioned there might be a bit of an analysis paralysis, that type of thing. What were you overthinking?
Well, one, I was overthinking just how people would think about me, meaning like, would I get the likes I wanted, right? Are people going to engage? Are people going to judge me? I was overthinking like how much I needed to do. And I think the other piece, like, people always say, you don't have to work harder, you just got to work smarter. And I think part of this is like the smart moves is just don't have to over focus on some of these little strings to pull, but work on getting your brand out there. Get comfortable in front of the camera. Make sure people know who you are, because I believe it. I have a good product to put out. So people got to know about it.
I think as well, the fallacies we've been taught, it has to be hard work for it to be fruitful. And that's not always the case. It doesn't have to be 18, 19 hours a day for something to be bright and successful. My thoughts are in the first couple of years, I think, it's definitely come on then, let's have some fun with this and let's put the shift in. And I think everybody has to do that when they first start their business. But there has to be a point where you start thinking a bit more, like we were talking about chess, where we can get to $1 million in your business with a hire here and a hire there, or some people are going to go ops manager, some people are going to go athletic trainers. It doesn't matter which way around the chessboard we go. What's most important is it's working for you. It's well thought out, there's a plan behind it, there's a consequence considered, and it's thought through in relation to the lifestyle that you want, the risks that you're happy to take, the money that you're happy to spend. All of that needs careful consideration. So the goal, we all have a goal of $1 million business at 25% profit margins, right? Everybody watching this probably wants some version of that. However, we don't all get there in the exact same manner.
Right.
The same determination and the same level of ambition and just the character that's needed. All of those things are true, but the path that we get there, the path's already written. It's just which way around it we go down to get there. So what are you leaving with as we wrap this up? What's the next steps for you?
Next step is schedule filming every day. That's my goal. Some of it will get put used, some of it won't. The next one is going to be, we'll save the name for later, but we got
we don't have to talk about that.
We got a nice method that we're going to create that's going to be great for my clients.
Workshops
are going to be running every month. That's going to be our target. Make that not just something we're going to try to do, a staple of what the clinic is going to be.
Biggest takeaway from the day?
What we ended with. Sometimes you don't need to learn new things. Sometimes you just got to get clarity and dive into the things you should know already, just know them better.
So what was the phrase? Most people need to be reminded. It's more than they need to be taught something new. There's nothing more true in that than business owners who are constantly looking for new. The fallacy of new, I think it is, the arrival fallacy of new. We're on this constant slippery slope to think we need to get new. And new's good sometimes, but more often than not, we've had something, we just need a deeper understanding of it.
Yeah.
And then the real, where the rubber meets the road, is we have to actually take action on it and implement it, which I have every faith that you'll do.
I appreciate it.
Well done. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, tune in next time for another episode. We'll help you get out of that treatment room. If you're stuck in it, that's what this episode and this podcast is all about. Enjoy.
Hey, this is Paul Gough. Thanks for watching. If you like my content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking for even more, be sure to head over to Amazon and you can find my 7 best-selling books for physical therapists in private practice. Head over to Amazon and find me now.